Alright, now comes the next example for analytics. Now if you notice in our previous example, we were reading the data from the database in these our charts. Alright, but now the data is not in the database. We have to push the data into our database. For example, we need to push the speed in percentage, we need to put this travel time into the database, and then we make the analytics. So before I have shown you an example where we already have a table in which we were pushing the values. For example, if you see this MySQL database, I already has these values in our database, and we were reading that in our charts, in our pie charts and different formats. But now the question is, we have to move this database from the PLC and create the database, another table, and then we have to move the value. So I will show you one example. I have already made a table, conveyor speed, and if I show you the value, there's just timestamp and speed. There is nothing in that. It's a blank database. It's just a table which I have created. Okay, now I have to push the values in this database from the PLC. So, but before I will show you a small example. Before I take the value from the tag, I will show you how to move the default values. So I will use a button. So I will take the button here. So this is just a button, and I would like to give it a name. This button, let's call it insert, because this is going to insert the value in our database. So I will name it as insert. So this is an insert button. Now you have to click on right click this button and go to scripting. You see every element here has a scripting element. Now when I click on scripting, you will see this window and then you have to go to script editor. And before you write here anything, before this becomes your editable area, you have to select on which action the script should be executed. So I will say when action is performed, which means when the button is clicked or whatever action. So when this is clicked, I want to execute a script here. Okay, now what could be that script? So there is a specific syntax for writing the script in the Ignition SCADA. I will show you a very basic example. So let's declare some variable. I will say value 1, and let this be our value hello world. Okay, now I will take another value, for example, and let's say it's 34. Now you notice I took the first value as a string and second as an integer. Why I did that? Because in my example, if I show you my table, alter table, the first column timestamp has a data type of character, variable character. Second has a data type of integer. So that's why I took here a character or a string. Basically it's a string, and there is a integer here. Okay, now we want to move these two values when the button is pressed. So we have to write on the next case query. What is the query? We'll write insert into. Now comes name of my table. Now table is from the schema SYS, and the table is conveyor speed. So it will be SY. Okay, you have to make some commas like this, SYS dot another conveyor speed. You have to make sure you write the correct syntax. And if you're not sure about the syntax, you can also do something like, if I open this, right click on this one, send to SQL editor, insert statement. So you have this default statement. Okay, you can also do that. So it's quite similar, SYS conveyor speed. And then I will copy, let's copy all of that in that case, and I will just put it here, and would like to make it in one line. Values. Okay, insert. Okay, now for this I need to make inverted commas, because this is going to be sent as a string to the MySQL. So insert into system conveyor speed timestamp. Now timestamp I don't have. I want to put this values. Okay, this timestamp and this speed is the name of the column here. So if I show you my table again, yeah, this timestamp and this speed. So this is the name of column. So we are inserting into the column timestamp and speed, but what we are inserting, that comes here. So I will write here values. I will put question mark. This is one way of doing that. You can also do a different way. And then I will write, because if there are so many values, this is the best approach. Then I will write arguments. Now arguments are actually the values which I want to push inside this. So I will write here value 1, value 2, and close the bracket. Notice these brackets are different here, okay, not the normal one. And then you have to write system.db. This is a default syntax. Prep, update, and then you have query and arguments. This is the way you have to write a query to insert the value. So once again, we have two values. One value is hello world, another is 34. Query is insert into system conveyor speed, timestamp and speed are your columns. Values are two question marks, and arguments are value 1 and value 2. So this value 1 will go here and the value 2 will go here. Okay, so this is the syntax to run the query. Okay, so let's try if it works. Apply and OK, and I go to play. Now when I press this one, now let's open the database and select this query. So we have this value hello world and 34. So this value will be inserted every time I press the button, because we have selected every time when the action is performed. So when I click again, insert, I have the value again, hello world and 34. All right, so this is about a basic example how to insert a value using a script in Ignition SCADA. One more thing, if you receive an error, sometime there will be an error like default database is not found. In that case, you have to make sure, this is very important, go to project properties and go to general, and default database, you have to select your database. Sometimes it's at none, so make sure this is your default. So that's why in my script I haven't defined a database, because my default database is already defined in my project. So I'm directly using the schema in my table, because the default database connection is localhost and 3306. This is already executed, and we have already defined that in our SCADA screen. If you see here in status, we have this database already defined. We did that in the initial videos. So this was about inserting the value. Now the next step is we have to insert the value coming from our PLC tags. So that we will see in the next video. So thank you for watching.